I've been working on two major areas lately. One is the buy and sell screen, which I got to a certain point, and then I kind of paused on it. I need to go back to that. I've been working on two major areas lately. Yep. And the second thing is I'm going to try working on, or I've been working on, I guess we'll call it the galactic map, which is the mission selector. So different bubbles appear and you'll choose. Not unlike many mobile games where you can actually choose which route you want to take. For this moment, I've been trying to keep it simple. I only have a few bubbles, and I still need to basically make that link to the different levels. Right now, I only have one, and it's pretty much a pretty easy thing to do. I've got to get the linkage so that works with the controllers, but that shouldn't be too bad. Then we just load the scene and we kick it off. Might need another screen in there to say, are you sure? Sometimes you have like a quest or a mission start screen. I might need to do that. So we might have to do that. For the moment, because I want to get to the point where I can actually test much more of the levels, we can just jump in. It's not a big deal. So we got a lot of linkage pieces that we need to pull together, and then I've got some other graphical stuff I want to do. I don't know if I'll get to that tonight. So what I got to do is start pulling all these pieces together. So what I'm going to do is the most simplest. I'm going to try to get it so we go between one of two missions, have two different missions on the board, and maybe put up that mission screen like I just mentioned. So let's get started. Okay, so I've got the galactic map, and where we left it last was let me get this running, just make sure I got everything good here. Where we got it last is we had it highlighting the bubbles when we put the cursor over them. First time running, it's a little slow, but as you can see, we've got the star chart. Got the give me a second. I got one of the controllers waking up. Where did the control screen go? Wake up the other one. All right. Everybody awake. I've got one bug I've got to figure out at some point is like if you have one of the controllers asleep, when you start, it does this really neat double hand thing. I have to figure that out, but not at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and do two hands. So hands. So you can see if we highlight different things, we get different missions here. And I got 4 of them here. And we were trying with the different holograms. And I have to say it looks pretty good. Okay, now I just need to make it so when you click, right now I have this tracer appearing. Let's get the hands working a little nicer. And this rather abstract star map behind me looks pretty nifty. So I'm pretty pleased with this. So, okay. We can, of course, make the balls look like something else later. Thinking little asteroids, maybe even like a small version. So if it's animating and moving, it zooms out. Might not be that hard to do. Huh. Okay, so let's get the most basic thing. If I click and I hit a trigger, let's go ahead and do the mission screen. We're going to pull up the mission screen. Not worry about too much special effects. We're going to pull up that mission screen, have an OK button or a cancel button, and that'll kick it off. Okay. Now, first one wins. So we got these controllers, and I'm using the VRTK toolkit, so it does a lot for me, but as you can see, those tracers are actually part of the pointer logic. I don't quite need it doing that in this case, but I'm thinking, well, I actually know which one's active. Okay, so let's just see what we can do with just tracking what is the current one that is being selected. And let's see what we got here. All right, so I got the VRTK. you got your left and right controller, and we have this generic controller script, which I actually use in the actual game. I'm not using it here, so I might replace it with one that's more appropriate for the menu system. Or we'll just add another script. It's not too big of a deal. These aren't even prefabs, so we can just instantiate them whenever we need. So, so when we detect a collision, what we're going to get is, I mean, we know the type of objects, so I guess we could do that, or we could do some generic top-level event system. I guess we could do that. That's probably not that big of a deal. Me, I always like to attach things directly. So, let's do this thing. The actual trigger is on the controller. So, let me see here. Button control. Forward button, back button, left, right button for these buttons. I think we have, oh, that's right. The straight pointer has a trigger button. Excuse me while I remember how this works. Might just kind of brute force this one. It doesn't really have to be that complex. In the original Gen, I'll take a look at this real quick. I had original Gen controller code. It has a it already has code to do this. I'll just kind of refresh my memory. So the Gen controller, back up. Where'd you go? Oh, so the Gen controller has that's right, I believe a delicate function which handles the touchpad and other trigger being pressed, and then we basically have it on trigger press. So what I can do, the easiest thing is just to copy this code over, and we'll make a similar style command. Actually, I'll start fresh, I think, and I'll just pull over the code. So what we'll do, we'll just call this a mission controller, or yeah. Yeah, we'll call it so we're in a different mode, so we can do this. So we'll call this a UI. It's really generic. Let me see here. Hand controller. I've been calling these VR hands, so why not? UI VR hand. I'll probably just change it 7 times before it's over. Terrible name, maybe, but okay. So what I'm going to do is just look at this VR hand controller, and I'm going to take a look at the Gen controller, which has evaded me. Not sure why. As much of these other files we don't need. All right, and just like we did before, we're going to just register some events, just like this start. Copy that over and customize it a little bit. Place that. It's got a straight point renderer. We don't need that. Of course, we need some of these variables. We do the lookup on that, record that. I need the straight point render. The VRTK kit needs to be used. We add that. That'll get that. So then we have some physical type. I keep track of whether or not we're on the left or the right, and I do that in my. Oh, actually, it's on this type. In this case, let's. I'm duplicating this, but if I said should have a, might need a superclass. We're going to You're going to hate me for this, but I'm going to go ahead and just copy it over for now. So there'll be a VR left and a VR right type, and then I need a variable. Now I need a field for that. Appropriate. Okay, so then we have controller events as another stored component. So I'm just kind of grabbing all these components. And I'm going to worry about trigger press in this case. We're going to get some more information, give me a warning if it's not. The RTK does a lot of stuff that is useful, but I'm not going to need half of it, so I'm going to just kind of wipe this out. So, and for now, I'm going to just strip it down to the baseline, which is basically trigger pressed and release. It does a bunch of other detection, again, based on the straight line pointer, but I don't want to use that. I want to use the collision of the hand to the object. So we don't need that. So we're getting down to the basics here. So we just trigger pressed. And we'll get an event through this delegate function. And in the past, I was just using true and false. I'm still trying to decide. It's not the cleanest way of doing it, but it at least tells me the state. I think for the moment I'll go ahead and track that trigger pressed. And put it on the public just to serialize it, but here, we'll do it properly. It's really a private state. Put that down. Public type is set once. Build. Put that down here. Yes, I'm technically got these VR. We could just, it's cheesy, but I could do this. And then I steal the existing type and not redefine it. It's cheesy. Physical type. So I have these different types. I actually have like a simulated left-right by using the mouse. So there's a variety of types here. Left, right, mouse. I even have one for the head so that you can point and track. So the controller can also be like pointing with your helmet. Right now we just care about left or right, and if there's a trigger being pressed, I'm using the standard trigger button. And that's already been done for us. That. And truth is, we actually, look at this, I don't really need your event system or that. So I'm going to just take that out. I'll put that back in when I need it. So we're really down to, hey, oh no, I need controller events. My bad. And I don't need the straight pointer. Well, I'll leave it in there for the moment. No, take it out. You don't need it, take it out. Add it back in there. Okay. So we're now just detecting if there's a trigger being pressed. It just tracks it in a flag. That's literally all that code does. Okay. So what do we do with it? Okay. So the simplest thing, of course, I could have an update or a variety of things. What makes probably the most sense is to have the controller actually track what it's touching, and when there is a collision with one of these hotspots, it adds it. It detects it, and then it remembers it. And actually, yeah, here we go. It's very similar to what we already done last session. I will. Let me see here. What did I do last time? So last time we did this point had a detection. It has a detection on it. We could make this go in reverse. Let's just start here. Okay, so I'm not on action. There's a map point, or map point. That's right. And the map point has a collision. And we did on trigger enter and exit. And what we can do is we do this in reverse. Okay, so if I have an on trigger enter and exit, excuse me, we can then just say, hey, is the other lock hit? Actually, here, just do it this way. So it's map point. Let's see, MP equals other component. Map point. If MP, then we're touching. For now, let's just do a real basic thing. Debug log touching map point, and then we can say MP lane. Okay. And then let's record that we were touching that. So I get map point MP touched. Which will start off with none. No. Okay. So we don't care about that. We'll come back to you for a moment. If we exit, we'll say that MP touched equals false. Sorry, equals null. If MP touched, then we'll do null, and we will log it. Actually, I'll say this: no longer touching. And yes, this is backwards, but give it a second. Name, and that there, and we will say touching that, and we'll record it until we touched. Okay. In theory, I can touch other colliders here, and it will trigger, but unless I'm touching only a map point or touching a map point at some point, let's have it now. I want to point out that this is on each left and right hand, so each one has its own. So we'll say on, what was the thing, the type? I think I can do types. I'm going to try. So let's say on VR left or VR right. Okay, now I'm just going to go ahead and compile this. Go ahead and compile it right here. And this has been a good computer, but it's only like the second generation of an i7, so it's starting to get a little long in the tooth. I've been really pleased with it, and it's still a quad-core, very powerful computer, 3.2 gigahertz, which was respectable for the time. Of course, now with the 4 gigahertz computers out and the great enhancements they've done to the i7, it's getting a little long in the tooth, but I've been upgrading it as we go. Okay. So it looks like there's no compiler errors, so we're good there. Let's go ahead and hit, well, wait a minute, I need to check my left and right controller hand. And so basically these are just objects which are just a transform with a script on it. Underneath it is the actually placed well, the VRTK moves things around, and there's actually a model for each hand. So for the Steam VR, it's one set of hands, which is really the HTC Vive in this case. And then there's the Oculus Rift and so forth. It does its instantiation kind of intelligently. I guess technically the Steam VR also supports the mixed reality set, and it's going to instantiate that correctly and put that in the right model under. Right now it's going to look like the HTC Vive, so let's see what we got. So we got the left controller, right controller. Okay, let me see if my, I didn't add the script on the right one. I only added it on the left one. And it's VR left, and I'm just showing that the trigger's pressed. So let's go ahead and just copy this guy onto the right. So both items are in. We just tell it to write. Now I've got this gen controller. I'm going to just leave it there for reference. It's going to go away. Okay. Okay. See what? Let's just see. We should be getting some debug statements. If I did this right, if I touch it with the right hand, oh, touching something. Okay, touching the middle one. No debugs. Why? Because I don't have a trigger on. Okay, so we've got two collision detections going on here. Do they overlap? Does one override the other? I have to admit, I haven't tried this in Unity. I always have one colliding or not colliding. Well, while we're running, we can find out pretty quick. Go to the individual map points, and let's just turn off their collider. There's no need a collider of some sort, don't we? We touch that. Nothing. Nothing. Okay. Yeah, we gotta have a collider. We say this is not a trigger here. Is that the way it works? Honestly, don't. I need to study that. Okay, so if we turn off the trigger on that guy, or on all of them, now we touch them. Obviously, it's still triggering because we get our floating asteroid. So, I mean, I always thought the trigger occurs anyways. If we go, let's take a look at our hands. Maybe I don't have the trigger setting and it's doing an on colliding or an on colliding. Exit. Let's see here. Where are my hands? Here. Jump to it. It's over here, deep inside the system. Everything's kind of tiered inside of the VR box area. Oh, okay. Makes sense. The script I put on there with the on trigger enter and the on trigger exit are not on an object with a collider. It is actually on the higher level controllers. No? Yeah, okay. Here's the actual collider. So okay. I put my scripts in the wrong place. We can fix that. Okay, so in this particular implementation, I'm going to have to do it on each model. I guess that kind of makes sense because if you have a different shape model, the place where it's going to detect may be smaller, bigger, wider, depends on the controller. So that's okay. We could do some weird linkage, but we'll just put it on the script on there. It's not that complex of a script, and the more I think of it, the more I like it at just triggering something else. It's all right. We're going to take our UIVR hand controller, and we will copy it over to where the collider is. Just paste that as new. And that for both left and right. Of course, I'll need to do this at some point for my other models. Right now I'm going to focus on HTC Vive, which of course means as I work on this, there's all a lot of little nitpicks that will come back to haunt me. Okay. This is the right hand. So yeah, in theory, I should down the road make this more generic so it works for anything I want it to. Okay. Save. Let's turn off the other ones. We don't need them here. For now, that's an easy enough script. I'm not too worried about it. Okay. So again, we touch it, it's appearing, I untouch it, it disappears, and ooh, beautiful. Okay, I'm getting events now that I touch those points. All right. Okay, so what I want to do, check one thing about, I've not been a big, I don't know why, but I've never been a big fan of the event system object that just sits out here on everything. And I know it's just a simple system to catch events, but again, I just kind of like to know where my event's going a little stronger. I guess this gets you started. And maybe I'm missing something. It is at least a central place to put all your inputs, which is very key. And I probably should sit down and do another tutorial or two. So yeah, feel free, send me a tutorial. I mean, I know they've got the standard Unity ones, and I probably should spend some time on them. So, but for the moment, I'm going to kind of do it my way, which evidently is probably a bit longer or crazier. But yeah, I'm just looking through. What I'm doing is looking through the supported events and event system, and trying to decide if they map or not. Kind of already sort of did it. Let's just move on. Instead, I would like to add the a new object in here, which will be the top level control. So I'm going to create one called the game inside. Game logic inside. I have a game logic in the other game. This one's inside. It'll be mostly the UI, and it's going to basically be kind of a catch-all. It's going to be my global. I don't need to get too fancy with this, so I'm going to keep it straightforward. Whoops. Thank you very much. Let's see what we got here. We got game logic, and he's going to just basically be my catch-all events. So I have another gameplay type object. Like I didn't even really. Well, I guess I did. I did to make it a. Let's make it a singleton. So I'm basically stealing code again, because why not? Nothing wrong with copying code, because you can get the same I call it gameplay. So just like the singleton we did before, we'll make it awake. Really only care about this instance stuff. I don't care about that. I'll make an instance here. Be the same basic thing. It's just a public. And this way I can link things directly to it if I want to. Yes. It sounds like a horrid thing, but many times you don't need to send it across the world. I need that for this case. So there it is. Awake. Remember, is there anything else I need to do there? Okay. Oh. So we have an instance. We have basically when it wakes up, does instantiates it or deletes itself. So there's only one. And all references can now go to game logic. Okay. That gives us a great advantage of just basically invoking. We can make our. If we want to make this a little bit generic, we can do. we have something we're touching, and we click, and it's a map point. So we can just, yeah, we can do this. Let's do it this way. We'll just go straight in. I need all this. I'm get rid of that. So void, public void, on map point activated. Point MP. Okay. And that makes it real simple now. I could do weak linkage and worry about this, but I'm not going to bother. I'm going to just go straight in. If somebody has a trigger inner, we remember the point. I'm going to make it so they have to select it, hit highlight, and then they have to push the trigger. Not sure if that's a perfect interface. I kind of like the idea of tapping it. Nah, we'll start there. And for the moment, I will make it do a game logic inside instance. Hard code. Yeah. We'll just go to it on activated, and we will use the MP touched. This is only, but we'll only do that if MP touched. Activated. If we have an MP touched. Okay, so this is going to get fun. So yay, it's out of the VR, it's out of the controller realm, and it's into our top level control, and it keeps, if we need to change the user interface later to activate it, there's now a separation. Okay, so on map point activated, it doesn't really care, we're ready to roll. First thing I'm going to do is, well, we're going to just do this. We're going to just debug it out. We're going to just make sure it works. Map point activated. We don't really care. And for the moment, I'm going to get rid of the touching and no longer touching the Katrina networks. There we go. Okay. All right, see what we got here. Should be compiling, running, oops, got a null instance. Where do we have a null instance? Controller events, really? Okay. Is that there all along? That's odd. Only 1 second here. Oh. I don't know how that's working. Actually, this is bad. It's kind of really bad, actually. That means the... Oh, yeah, okay, so the controller is in one object, the collision's in another. Yeah. So our UIVR hand controller really technically does need to be with the other guy. And what we need to do is make the collision pass on that information. Okay. So this is not a big deal. Instead of, yeah, we'll just do this. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to just basically, again, yeah, feels like I already did this. We're going to go back to our left-right controller. We're going to paste those back in. Bottom. Right. Okay. So the left and the right controller. And he's going to actually have the events detect the triggering. That triggering will then actually fire off the like we did on trigger pressed, is going to fire off that it's touching. But we're going to do it a little differently this time. Instead of on map point activated, we're going to just tell a game logic on trigger clicked. It's a little, just basically we're going to put most of the brains at the top level. And really just kind of keep it elsewhere. Don't need any of that. And we'll go ahead and make a trigger pressed and on-trigger released. Of course, these don't exist. Mr. Logic here. And we will also tell which one we are. So we're going to pass in our type. So we're going to pass in gen controller. Think about this a second. So, promise you. I guess we're not going to have a case where we're both going to touch, or it doesn't really matter. These are small. Okay, so, same thing, of course, on released. Now I'm not going to worry too much about that. Those are just going to trigger it. So there's a trigger pressed, and that'll fire off an event. And then the other event we're going to add is that this is where all this on trigger enter is going to be a separate script. So we're going to just call it something else. Add a component. We'll call it a VR hand collision. And just VR hand collision will work just fine. Yeah. And I'm going to set this up over here and reload that. And just to drive people crazy, I'm going to go ahead and also put in the, oops, and I'm going to go ahead and put in the hand control. And also put a configuration on whether it's left or right. Mostly just doing this because there's been just enough cases where two things will collide or whatnot. I want that information down the road. It's also good for debugging, so it's the left or the right hand. So I'm going to carry that information around. So here's collision. I'm going to put the type on it. We're going to take the code, which we have for triggering, and we're going to go ahead and put that in place over here. And instead of bothering with with the collision, I guess if we collide anything, we can do an in and an exit. Yeah, why not? Okay, yeah, we'll do that. So, let's go all out. Doing a Unity, doing an event, enter, event trigger, okay, and we will just pass this on. So, trigger enter dot invoke. Oh, wait a minute here, something's wrong. It's a Unity event, isn't it? It's complaining because it needs that to work. All right. Unity events. There we go. We're going to invoke, and we're going to actually do this code further down. There's enter, there's exit. This is going to be just such a stub, it's not even funny, but that's okay. It redirects it to the top level. So then we're going to come to the game logic. Since we only care about one being pressed, this might not be too bad. It's not like later on in the game you're holding things and you got two different discs and you want to keep track of that, or pointing at two different things. This is mostly one active at a time on the table. Excuse me. So we have an event over here. We will go and pass the type. I think I can do that. It's gonna. No. Pass the type? Can't remember. Nope, cannot. Oh, that's right. I can pass it in as a parameter. As part of the invoke system. We'll do it down there. Okay. So what we're going to get over here is on map, or not so much on map, but on hand touching. On hand enter. We'll do that. Now we'll get the parameter structure a little bit. I wonder, actually, I guess we could put the type on. There's no reason why we can't do that. And we'll go ahead and do X. Okay. No, we'll go one step more, on collide. Collide X. Ooh. Ooh. How do I pass that in? Is there a way to pass some parameters? I don't remember. Unity event T0. So if you have an event, there's an int, I could at least pass an int. Class my event, Unity event int. Start event, new event, add listener, ping has an int. The reason is I want to pass the collider. And that information is being caught because it tells what the map point we touched is. Now, I mean, even if all I do is a reference to who called it, I mean, I could also just have the collider stored temporarily. I really like doing that. I don't like to just pass it all in. It'd be nice to pass two parameters, the type and the collider. I'm going to try it. It's not quite as easy. Okay, so I mean, this is just doing an add listener, so you don't have to do it yourself. But to create your own class, let's see if they had a two-parameter example. They do int. Not very creative, but it works. The real goal, of course, is that we can. All right. Well, let's give it a try. We have something called the VR hand collider, which is a Unity event, which of course will freak it out, which will be two things. We'll have a collider, and actually I don't, yeah, and the VR hand collision, basically ourselves. Okay. Okay. And that's just a class. It doesn't really do anything past that. Public class, serializable. I guess we can do that. And that'll allow it to be put into the system. So when we actually invoke the system, we can then pass in a ER collider. ER collider event. Let's go ahead and do the proper event name. Okay, and it should cause the invokes. Yep, there it is. Invokes. Get unhappy. The other collider and ourselves. And yes, this code, case, not me, this. I've been working on Unreal at work, so excuse me while Unreal Script UE3. Okay, so there we go, folks. That'll invoke an event of the type VR hand collider event. So if we go back here, now we still got these errors we got to work out. So let's finish that out. So here, on hand collide, on we enter. We then pass in two things, which is that and the hand collider. We'll do this for both of them. And collider. Okay. No, this is, I mean, I could have just hard coded this with my instance variable, but I decided not to because I might actually want this code to work in a few other places where it's not this particular the top level controller. So this gives me also the ability to kind of customize it, assuming it works. So let's see here. The collider enters and exits here. So we invoke the enter, trigger, enter, and trigger, exit. And what we're going to do is kind of do like what we did over here. I'm going to move the map point that's being tracked, and the map point touched, into this code. So what we'll do is we'll do this. Field touched. Okay. Now, Oh, I did this wrong. Put that back. It doesn't match. We don't, the type we can get from the VR hand. Yeah. Well, I got this all wrong. It's not the event, it's VR collision. I guess technically we could have a reference on the top level or something like that. This should work though. Okay, so we got the map point, we get that point, we get the component, we just track it. Right now I'm just tracking it, and so that when we get the trigger event, we can then do what we were trying to do before, which was if there's a map point touched, for the moment I'll do it on the press, the release isn't going to do anything. Just for the sake of argument, we're going to go ahead and say pressed on type and released on type. This just because I changed so much code. Go. Map P point is touched. Let's say map point activated. And go ahead and do touched. And we're still touching it, so I'm not going to clear anything. Oh, by the way, if you're colliding with something else, Well, yeah, I have this if statement, I guess. There could be a case where you're entering multiple things. Oh, okay. We just need to do it this way. If you're exiting a map point, I'm not going to have them close enough so they can touch multiple map points at the same time. Just good UI design anyways. So this should be good. Yes, I could keep a list of all the ones that, everything you're touching at the same time. And then whenever all the ones you exited, I will know if you're touching anything. But I'm okay with this. We can do that if it needed to later. Okay. All right, so we'll just give a quick test. My head on. Okay. Errors? Oh, errors. No. One error. One for each hand, but one error. Oh, I need clean. Let me take a quick moment. Let's clean out that one case I think we've still got running around. One of the gloves still has a... Yeah, okay, I didn't set up my linkage. Okay. It wasn't going to work anyways. So let's add a runtime. We're going to go to game logic inside. Go to the function game logic inside. Whenever we enter, we're going to do and enter. And then the exit event, we'll do the same as thing. Logic inside. So I'm going to go to game logic inside, exit, matches, voila. Now we're going to go over and do the same thing, but it's really, really easy to copy over the whole thing, so we're going to do that. The component over to there, paste it as new, delete this old one. There, now we should have no more warnings. Okay, got a VR hand in there. If we hit enter, hands backwards, left, right, very good. And if we look over here, oh, we're not getting enter exit messages, which is not a good sign. Actually, a very good sign. Because remember, we got an event trigger, logic inside. Okay, and hold that thought. We get to the, it's supposed to be calling the game logic inside and saying pressed on. No, we didn't do any press. We only did, okay. There's no messages for enter and exit, so this might be working. Okay. Let's assume it's working. I go over here and I touch it and I click. Voila. Okay. Oh yeah, I've got a message on pressed and release. If I go up here and I go click, I get a press and a release. All right. So I see a pressed and release, so that we know that's working. And we do get a map point activated, map point 1, which I believe is the one in the middle, right? Boom. Map point released. Map point 1, and I believe this one's 2. Point 2. Okay, very good. Pressed, map point 2 activated, released. Exactly what I expected. So we got all our linkage correct. Don't worry about these events, I'm going to clear them out. Works exactly like I want, and because the way I did the events, I can link them up later to anything. In theory, I guess I could do more advanced stuff, but this will work just fine. Let's move on to making the next step work. All right, so I got it detecting which one is a collision. This is supposed to be easier. I guess I got a little sidetracked. So we're going to make it so when we click, it activates. In a more buttony way, what you probably want to do is make it on the release, to be honest. So it's that way if we kind of get off. If you look at it, when you click on a button in Windows, if you click on the button, nothing happens. If you slide it off the button and release, nothing happens. You have to click and release on the button. So let's do that. And the reason is that you want to make sure it's a full confirmation it's clicked. So you have the MP that's touched, and I'm going to do that map point MP clicked. So if we do that, we're going to say equals the MP touched. And basically, if MP currently touched, because it will go, if you slide off of it, we'll release it and go to none. We'll do the exit. So if it equals what you clicked, then we'll say to the activate it. Just say it'll be what we first clicked on. So that actually gives you advantage. If you had a second one you click and you drag and you released, well, you'd be releasing on something else, etc., etc. Anyways, we'll just keep that way. Okay, we'll quickly just make sure everybody's happy. Come on, wake up. And I always forget if I remembers which side's which. So here I am, click. I did get activated map point 1. If I click, slide off, let go, I don't get another activation. If I click, slide onto another one, which is kind of activating and let go, I guess you could argue that it should be activating, but we'll let that one go for the moment. And so there we go. 1, 2. Only activated one, so did I miss the second one? Okay, there it goes. Slid off it, I guess. They are fairly small. I might have to make them bigger, or at least the detection area bigger. But that's okay. That's something we can easily fix as we polish. Okay, so it's detecting, it's going to that. So all I want to do is to get to the mission sort of accept and go on dialog, where I can provide more information, any additional settings, and so forth. So I'm not going to worry about transitions. I'm going to just pop this stuff in and out. So we're gonna put in another pane, just like I had before. I think what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to just make the backboard. You pick it, it disappears, brings up another pane. Are you sure? Yes, no. We can steal the buy sell, put a yes, no on either okay or cancel. And if you cancel, it goes back to the state. If you accept it, then we kick off the actual game. So we clicked on that map point. I'm going to just kind of, at this point, it's not going to be too big of a deal. What we'll do is we'll say review mission, start review mission, and we'll use the map point. So, let's start review mission. And this one's not too bad. We can just we can put the I mean, I could do fines on some of this stuff. Let's see what we got. This guy is the, translate. I should just call this guy something else. Okay, let's do that. Let's call him mission table, mission selection table. Mission selection UI. I guess it'll work. We'll call them missions. Map point missions. Okay, And we may eventually have some more advanced data to process, but this is going to be very, very straightforward. The map points will be set inactive and so on. So what we'll do, we'll start with the most basic. Let me just let me go ahead and put a linkage on. No. And we're going to really just go straight, simple on this one. Mission review. Okay. And what we'll do is when we say start review mission, we're going to put the mission select UI. We're going to tell it set in active false. Mission review UI. Oh, yeah, typo. Okay, mission review UI. No transitions, boom. We're good. Okay, now we don't have these objects set, but I'm going to go ahead and just put that on our game logic object. There. I like to just do static linking like this. Seems to work well. Some people probably have a different opinion. Now we have these other buy cell commands, so what I'm going to do is steal a little bit of this. So the buy command disk, which remember is a subclass of the pane class. So I'm going to make the mission review pane basically a new class from that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of steal it because it has some pieces on it that I like. I'm going to steal the whole thing for the moment, and that'll allow me to get the pieces started. So this will be the mission review UI. Obviously, it's going to be a different class, so I'm going to create a new class. We're going to call it the mission review UI. And let's go. Call it mission review UI. Reload all. It'll be a subclass of pane. Okay. Any of that. For the moment, this is good. We won't need this, so we'll get rid of that. So that's me. Nothing needs to be put on this yet. Okay, this one will not have arrows left and right, so we won't see those. There'll actually only be one pane. There's an instance sitting here. Did I just do the wrong thing? I just did. Okay. Oops. Yeah, okay. I put it on the wrong thing. The top level object is not where we want this. We want to put this in here. Remove the old. And turn this on. You can see it now. This will be the mission review pane. And by the way, let's go ahead and break that prefab. Don't want that accidentally going into my other system. There's a light there. I think I'm going to need it, so I'm going to drop that. We're not going to have an object like we did with the command disks. I did not realize. That's okay. We're good. Okay, so we got the mission review pane, and inside of the mission review pane, we have these buy and sell buttons. We're not going to do buy and sell. We're going to do okay and not okay. So let's first position them down a little bit. Wow, I am impressed by its ability to confuse me. That's impressive. Okay. Global? Really? They're the same size. Ooh, I hate it when it does this. One's 10s, one -10. Really? Translates Z. I mean, they're exactly the same. Is it like a weird angle I'm looking at or something? No? Oh, I hate it when it does this. This has happened to me just enough. There's a rotation. I guess the rotation is confusing me. Huh. Alright, well, we're going to take the rotation off. We'll put them back on. You could kind of group it and fix it from there. Is the rotation actually doing? I don't think so. It's not even along that axis. See, it's splitting. Anybody? Okay. Okay, well, I guess the good news is it means it's not the angle, it's the something else. I mean, they're exactly the same. 1.58Z, everything. The canvases inside of each of them. Man, I really hate it when Unity does weird things like this. Okay, fine. We don't care that much when we can do it. This is why I enter numbers half the time sometimes. We can move along the Z minus, not minus 1, minus 0.335. That sounds magical, doesn't it? So if we move this, minus 0.35. Wow. What was so hard about that? Okay. So here we have this mission review. Right now, again, I'm going to just kind of I'm going to kludge it in a bit. These buy and sell buttons. Now this is the VR button thing, and I think I hard coded it last time, so we're probably going to have to do some event on it. We'll get that here in a moment. Get that going. Translate. Yeah, there's the VR push button. No, I did do it right. It's got, yeah, okay, so great. So we can then go to the mission review. I got a script here. I can just go ahead and why not? Public on mission review pane. I don't know, actually, in this case, I don't really need to go to it. I'll just go straight to the top of this one. I mean, theoretically, you should go to the dialogue and then he passes it back. Okay, we'll do it right. Just sometimes hate multiple steps, but alright. And okay, next. We can interpret it this way. We can, I guess, really when you get down to it, game logic should say start mission. So game logic inside, instance, start mission. Or we can do something like such as then that way we get the naming, the natural naming. So we'll call cancel review mission, and that'll then do basically this. And what we'll do is mission select true and false. And the purist in me says you gotta turn it off before you turn something else on. If it updates, which it doesn't, if it was updating in the middle, that'd be a problem. Oh, but this is public. Start mission review, cancel review mission, and then start mission is my other guy, which will then do it. Mission, and again, if we want, we can then say actually here, let's call it MP select. So, good old rename feature. And we won't even bother with debugging that now. Oh, that's right, I have an on-map point activated. You know what, I'm just not going to use that anymore. Start mission. Technically, we should call them missions. Okay. So, whoops, I need to turn that off. And also, I think I need to link it. I don't think I did. So, when it comes back, is it back yet? No. Okay. No errors. Okay. Mission select UI. Game logic inside should have, yeah, then have a review ID selected. Review UI selection linked. What did I do? When's game objects? Huh. Oh, I guess I didn't. Oh, because one's a transform, the other one is. Okay, one's a transform with a script, one's a transform without one. And for whatever reason, I left rotate. What am I doing? Oh, and I also just realized I didn't do that right. Okay, sorry, I'm kind of going crazy on you. So here we go, on cancel pressed on B. Okay, we got to link up the buttons. I'm just trying to figure out why there is a rotate angles per. Oh, wow. That's because it's on the pane, isn't it? Okay, well, we'll leave that alone. Don't need it. It's not going to do anything. All right. So on cancel pressed, I mean, if purist in me would say you would have an animated pane and a pane. So let's go back to our buttons here, side by and sell. Let's put the right text on there. Sell is actually cancel, which of course doesn't fit in that little button. It's okay. I think we can extrude. I like that. We'll just make the text smaller this time. We will go 36. 4. The other one. And by the way, this should be the cancel button. And when we trigger the VR push, in this case, we'll trigger a the parent. We will do a cancel pressed. If we go to the buy button, we'll say the start button. And then also change its text to start. And make it also 36. What's that the other one? Cancel 24. It's fairly small. May have to change it. But we'll see if that's polishing. So here we are, push, push, boom. So the event for this guy. Cancel. The event for this guy. I did it wrong. I called it on OK. That'll work in this case. Okay, so now the events are linked to the objects based on existing code. It'll activate it and it should cause us to, whoops, and then I forgot the last thing I wanted to check. I got both of them appearing, we need to turn off one. What we need to do is make it so when everything starts, what we do is we start, basically do this. Make sure everything's the way it should be. Power flicker here for some reason. That doesn't lead to other problems. That light bulb's going. Make sure it's turned off. Turn on the one we need. So we got the select UI on the table there basically going, and then it'll go away. This light bulb, I think, is going to go soon. We'll get through this tonight, and then hopefully I can find a replacement for that. It's a floor lamp. There we go. We only have back here. Yep, there we go. I think this table is reflective. I've been having problems ever since I've used this table. So here we go. Yeah. Okay, there we go. There's a review. Don't have anything on there yet. I can hit it, except for I just realized I can't hit it because it's too low. Ah, ironic. In the past, I was going up here. Maybe I'll just bring up the whole thing. There we go. I guess we could put the name there just so we have some form. But that is too low. Hard to believe, I know. Let's start. It does nothing other than say start map 1. All right. Let's just bring that up. It's easily solved. Released. Okay. UI B2. Oh, that's way too high. 5. What I think I'll do is raise it just a smidge higher. I don't want it towering over people. Again, I'm wondering if the height is going to be a problem. I wonder, a lot of people, I don't know what a lot of people do. I guess we can do something. I mean, I know people are only so much difference in heights, but you might have a little kid playing. You might have, really tall 6.5-foot guy. I'm 5'6", so I'm at least in the middle, but I can't. We're gonna have to do something about that. Well, at least I guess at the very least, we can adjust the height in the game, but it can feel like your feet are on the floor. Never the same for everybody. So here we go again. Got it. It's a nice height. I can actually click cancel, start. That was interesting. Oh, that's right. I hit it over. If you hit it with your left one, you're good. Over there. Actually, could be moved in a little closer. So, I mean, with this being so close, which I think is actually good because my stomach's here, that's there. I'm gonna have to assume that even if you're sitting, you're at a keyboard. So, this one point is kind of close. I like the general distance, but I'm hitting my monitor. It's gonna be wild. But again, people are gonna be usually further away. So I'm gonna have to make that assumption. So I'm gonna assume they're further away. So I'm down here. That's too far. I haven't reached too far. Let's bring it in to about here, which makes it about some reference. About where this ball is. All right. Let's just. I guess I could have done this multiple times, but this should be quick. Take this. We'll do the mission review pane. We'll move it here. A smidge closer. Okay. There we go. All right. Click. There we go. Beautiful. And I'm basing this also somewhat with the field of view. I can see if this was a screen, you know how you'd have a certain amount of edge here and here. This is actually pretty good. Fills my screen. Of course, I'm customizing this again to my height. We're going to have an eye level thing on, and this is going to have to. We're going to have to take a sampling of your height. When you're playing, whether or not you're sitting or whatnot, and then of course put some type of hot menu in to a lot of games have a button that will allow you to the buttons that are messed up. And it's working. But anyways, usually you can press the menu button and it'll bring up another option to recenter. So, actually, the one thing that this is kind of teaching me is I noticed the yellow line down here isn't as annoying when you put it up about this high. Of course, this may change if I have a sitting position, but I might be able to work with it. Still got a separate line there. It's going to take some playing. Ooh, interesting. Boom. Start. Cancel. Okay. And of course, I can wipe that several times. Okay. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. Save. So yeah, let's just take a quick moment, throw some text on there. Very similar to what I got here. I've got the image. On the pane itself, we'll just put a, here's the image. We'll add a 2D text object, UI text. We'll call this title. So it says new text there, but we'll make it match the size there, 24. That'll match. Upscaling 0.2. Use our our regular font. Actually, we'll do the bold one. Allow overflow and horizontal, and you can see it's too big because I don't have the same scale. Scale it down. We'll make the color match. So we'll pick up exactly the same color for the text for now. We may, of course, change that. That's to be decided later. We'll center around those points. And we will anchor it. Oh, sorry, wrong thing. Anchor it at the top and give it a position of that for now. That's actually kind of small. Let's bump that up a bit. And so that'll center, and that'll go across the top. Let's lighten it up a little bit. Okay. We'll go up to the mission review pane, and we'll give that an yeah. So public text, just a text script, public text. UI form. So call that title. We'll call that prepare. We'll take a map point and we'll do that. For now, the map point, what I'm going to do is make the map points have the data. Probably should, if I can do that. I'm not really trying to, let me try extract, public extract, mission details. We'll just go ahead and do a string title, string text. Right now it's not that big of a deal. And then we'll have mission details in the details section. So now if we go to our map point number 1, so go back to our mission selection. Really need a, I know there's a hotkey. I need to go find that hotkey to go back to the previous location. Now if we look at the map point, forgot to make it serializable. I'm forgetting, it's not field, it's gosh, I'm gonna, oh gosh, system serializable. That's okay. There you go. Public. These are public. Nobody had any problem getting to it. Now, if we come back, give it a second. And I make the mission details public. That'll make it serializable. Bump, 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 bump. Come on. It does it automatically. We're still thinking. Okay, there it is. All right, so here's the mission. Voila. So we can give each of these a mission detail. So one, more details later. Here in say rock 2, even more, and let's see, ice planet, details, and ice rock, fire rock, TBD. Okay. And we could put the localization keyframes here, so I need to probably, I don't know, I'm not actually going, I know this is like heresy, but I'm not going to plan for localization, I think. Decided, I thought about it, I'm going to stick it to English. I know it's a pity, but and the light's going to go tonight. I can smell it. It's having problems. It says burning. I'm going to have to turn it off here. Okay. So we got mission details. We'll save all that. Yeah, let's go ahead and put a slot for also the mission review. Go ahead and we got a review pane here. We got a mission review. We got a title, title field. So let's link that up. Start button, just need the title field, and the we'll do details field. Just description, and that'll be in a second. I'm just going to duplicate that description. I'm going to just go real easy on this one. I'm going to put that in the middle there. I guess we'll at least top align it. Top align it so it looks a little nicer. There. Make the text a little smaller. Yep, there is it. Alright, I'm going to have to turn off that light. Alright. We're in the dark, but that's not much different. 28. Alright, we're going to use the colors again of the cancel button. Now, and the proper description name. And then if we go back to the review pane, we see that the title. I thought I assigned that. Oh, interesting. I have it on both of these guys. That is almost kind of funny. Huh. It really needs, okay. It needs to be on the, It needs to be on only one of them. I'm going to remove this one. And I'm going to put it on there. Make sure that the buttons are not messed up when I did that. I did do that right. All right, so I had an extra script. Okay, good. All right, so the review UI has the title and description, so it's going to get called prepare. It's going to then do title, so text equals MP mission, and we'll just go straight into it. Text. Oops, can I call that text? Really? Okay. And then the description is going to have the text. Not the best name now I think about it. mission text. Okay, so if I did this right, oh wait, I got call prepare. Before we show it, we will call prepare, and we'll pass in the currently selected mission. So turn off 1, mission review UI, prepare for the MP selected, and there you go. What's wrong with it? Prepare, name object is not. Oh, what? Oh yeah, okay. Really? Okay, fine. There. It's going to lose the linkage when I do that, but it is the same. It will do what I need. Did it lose it? Looks like it's good. No, it didn't lose it. Oh, no, barrel errors. Set active. Okay, we can fix that. Should be one more. Okay, now it will complain, and I bet you that's when it'll lose our linkage. Did we lose our linkage? Still got a problem? We're still waiting. Waiting. Very good. Yeah, there's our linkage. Put that back in. Okay. Go. Take our hands. That one's not rotating. One's rotating. That one's rotating. That one's not rotating. What did I do? No errors. Huh. Okay. Well, rock 1. More details later. Cancel. Probably need to get it. I need to unselect it when we come back. So we need to fix that. Okay. There's rock 2. Even more. 3. This rock need details, yeah. And fire rock to be determined. Somehow. No, that's an illusion. So yeah, there we go. We're selecting different things, and I need to get it so my start button doesn't automatically hit as well. Huh. That's one disadvantage of putting it way back here. Golly, always these little details. It's not there, it's there, so obviously we're okay here. It's there. We're actually going to start starting to touch it.